5 top qualities that make a great hot yoga teacher. The first half of my career was teaching yoga, even though I still teach. The second half is teaching teachers and helping those teachers find that great status. And make sure you watch the video all the way to the end, because the 5th one is by far the most important. And maybe if you're not implementing the 5th tip, that may be the reason why you're not reaching the great status. Let's get right to it. Number 1, know your cues. In the Bikram world is the dialogue. In the Barkan world is knowing the bullet points. And whatever style of yoga you're teaching, and I know I'm an expert in the hot yoga world, so my channel is geared more to the hot yoga, but it really applies to all styles of yoga. You need to know the cues. You need to know the script inside and out. Then you can start playing what you're saying and how you're saying it. When to go strong, when to go soft, allowing your voice to reflect the proper moment, which will tie to the 5th tip, that's for sure, or the 5th quality. For example, this morning I'm teaching the class tree pose, and one of my senior Barkan teachers who's on the channel many times, her name is Elena, and she's doing the tree pose, and I can see that her knee and her hip are not quite in the position to allow the rotation of the hip to come forward. The knee to go back and the hip to come forward. And I said, just bring the knee out a little bit to the right. Just bring that hip joint a little bit forward, because what I see many times in the yoga class is that yoga students strike a pose. Strike a pose. They hear the words, and as a teacher, you say the words, but what do those words actually mean? In the tree pose, you want to create the opposite direction. The knee goes back as the hip comes forward, and that forward rotation, that's going to open up the joint, and that's why that posture is so effective. That one little nuance that I had Elena do made all the difference in opening up that hip, but understanding what those words mean. What's the true meaning of the word? Know your cues. Before we continue on, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell. Any questions or concerns, put them down below. I'm happy to get back to you. Outstanding quality number 2, continue. If you're a teacher, continue to be a student. Take workshops. Seek out a teacher that you connect with. They have workshops. They have 300-hour trainings. If you're a 200-hour teacher, you definitely want to explore getting your 300-hour certificate to reach 500-hour status. And the more experienced you are and the more hours you accumulate, you become an experienced 500-hour teacher. But it's not just learning the information in your 200-hour training, and that's the only information you ever draw upon except for experience in teaching. You just don't want to rely on your experience. For example, I've got 3 weekend workshops that are coming up. The first one is July 25th to the 27th in Traverse City, Michigan. The next one is in Birmingham, Alabama on August 29th to the 30th. And then in November in Marltown, New Jersey. I will put it on the video in post. I find a lot of people that they do teach train programs, and if they have the opportunity to open up a studio, a lot of times they just stop their learning. They stop their process. They got a lot of things going on. They're running a studio. They're teaching multiple classes, and they forget about their continuing education. And read. Become a reader. There's so much information online. In the Barkan Method teacher training programs, our textbook is the Yoga Tradition, which I happen to have right here. I'll put a link in the description below. You can get it on Amazon, by George Feurenstein. It's definitely the most comprehensive work on yoga. It's our textbook in the Barkan Method teacher training program. The Yoga Tradition. Pretty much everything you want to know about yoga is in this book. Get this book. Make it your Bible. The next book that's a requirement on the Barkan Method teacher training programs is the Encyclopedia of Yoga and Tantra, also by George Feurenstein. You can also get it on Amazon. What's great about this book is any word in Sanskrit, any term in yoga is pretty much in this book. Just open up a page and you can learn something every day. This is really an amazing book. The Encyclopedia of Yoga and Tantra, George Feurenstein. If you're in the Bikram world, get Bikram's book. Continue to learn. Continue to become a student. That's absolutely essential. Outstanding quality number 3. Outstanding quality number 3 is to keep up your practice. Many teachers that, especially if you're teaching 6, 7, 10, or even 12 or 15 classes a week, they forget their practice. That's the worst thing you can do. Your practice is your superpower.
I am Iron Man.
That's probably why you wanted to teach yoga in the first place, to share what helped you, to share what you learned. So now if you give up your practice, you're not practicing what you preach. There's a disconnect. As a yoga teacher, I believe you should do at least 5 classes a week. People ask me how many classes a week should one do to become a successful yoga student. I say 4 minimum, 5 is great, 6 is ideal, I don't like 7. But as a teacher, it should be 5 minimum a week. Keep up your practice. Practice what you preach. That's your superpower.
I can do this all day.
And the 4th top quality to make a great yoga teacher is know the history. The great people in any field understand and know the history. They've studied it. They've become a student of the science. You could ask LeBron James I've talked about this before. Who won the NBA championships in the last 30 years? And he'll probably tell you who the runner-up was. Ask Tiger Woods who's won the master tournaments in the last 30 years. I'm sure he can tell you the winner and most likely who the runner-up was. They become students of the game. Know the history. A very important part, and this is definitely a part of the Barkan Method teacher training program, has become a passion of mine, history. But an important thing that I say all the time is to know where you are and to know where you're going, you have to know where you came from. Just to give you a mini history lesson, you can think of the yogic history in 3 parts. There's pre-classical, everything that happened before the classical time. There's classical, which was a very important and pinnacle part of the yogic history. It sets how we describe the 3 different parts or 3 different eras. And then there's the post-classical era, what's happening in the now. How, especially in the West, we went from a spiritual intention and slowly transitioned more to the physical, mental intention, which is what we call postural yoga, which is why yoga is so popular today. But why did that happen? How did that transition? Who were the key people? Who were the pivotal people in the yogic history? Understanding who those people were, and you may not communicate that to your students. The students don't care who Patanjali is, or Matsyendra, or Goraksha, or modern day times Krishnamacharya and Vishnu Ghosh. They may not care who they are, but it's important for you to understand who it is because you're a student of the science. As a yoga teacher, you need to understand. If you were to ask, let's say, a psychologist who's Sigmund Freud, and they don't know, I don't know if I want to go to that psychologist. If you ask a yoga teacher who Patanjali is or who Goraksha is, and they don't know, maybe you don't want to go to that particular yoga teacher. In the Barkan Method teacher training programs, I make it a requirement for you to know, because once again, where are we going? We have to know where we came from. And quality number 5, and as promised, the most important quality of all, is finding who you are, finding your own authentic, unique, authentic voice, and communicating that voice in your classroom. Because you can know the cues back and forth. You can do all of the continuing education. You can continue to practice on a daily, at least 5 times a week basis, and you may know all the history. But if you're just copying somebody, if you're sounding the same all the time in a repeated pattern of speech, you're not connecting with the words, connecting with who you are, and finding your true authentic voice. And that's one of the things that we emphasize in the Barkan Method teacher training programs, because it's easier said than done. How can we find who you are? And the reason why a lot of people hide behind the words or hide behind a continuing pattern of speech when they're talking, what I call the presentation voice, is because it's very vulnerable to show who you are in class. But that's going to set you apart. That's going to make you great. When you can put all of these 5 qualities together, now you're coming in possibly raw, but now your students are going to have a chance to connect who you are. And when you bring that to the table, I guarantee it's going to make all the difference. You'll go from a good teacher to a great teacher, from a great teacher to an extraordinary teacher, when we're able to find our true authentic voice. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Well, a lot of times, almost 99% of the people that come in to teach yoga for the first time, I'm talking about now beginning teachers, they talk in what I call presentation or teacher voice, and they speak in a repeated pattern of speech. What we need to do is, and this is also knowing, ties into that first trait, that first top quality. When we know the cues, when the cues are second nature, now we can start playing with the nuances and how we communicate that information so students really understand what it is that you're saying. And that you will, and this is the most important point, get the student's ear. Because if you're in a continued repeated pattern of speech, they're going to just tune you out. It becomes almost elevator music, and I said this before on that channel, or it could become very annoying. They want to strangle you because you're continuing to talk in this repeated pattern of speech. Let's go back to the tree pose, and since I used that as an example before, you can say bring your right heel up, get the heel underneath the navel, the knee out to the side, hip joint open, bring your hands to your heart center. If the foot's not going to slide off, bring your hands to Namaskar, hold that position. I'm talking in my teacher voice, my repeated pattern of speech, change. And if you're doing that for 90 minutes or 75 minutes, once again, they're going to tune you out. They're really not going to hear what you're saying. So now back to Elena, when I talked about in the first point, and this happened this morning, here I see her in the position, and I can see that her knee and her hip are not quite in the right position. So I say, now bring that knee out to the side and extend that hip forward. Now you can feel that release. You can feel that opening of the hip coming forward. That's what the posture is designed to do. Not so you can strike a pose, but that posture is now going to open up an area of your body, because the last thing you want to think about is the emphasis on the striking the pose or the posture. The emphasis is on the body and how the technique of the posture is going to get the body to open up and to get the results, range of motion, flexibility, strength, whatever posture you're doing. Another example is downward dog. That's not done in the Bikram world, but definitely in the Barkan world. And I say you don't want to just stay in that inverted position, stuck and stiff like the Tin Man and the Wizard of Oz. You want to feel yourself extending and stretching. If you watch your dog, and the reason why they call the posture downward dog, most likely the first thing they do when they wake up in the morning or they've been sleeping all day is they go into downward dog to stretch. They're not just striking an inverted V position, they're actually stretching their body. The chest comes to the thighs, tailbone comes under, their head comes closer to the floor as the body extends, and you want to feel your body elastic. Use the posture to move the body, to create that range of motion. That's the magic and the beauty of yoga. So now as a yoga teacher, you want your words to convey that message. Whatever you're saying, whatever cues you have, is to get the students to do the best possible yoga that they can, to stretch, to strengthen, whatever that may be, whatever the posture is calling for. So let's sum up our 5 qualities. Number 1, know your cues, know the dialogue, know it inside and out. What words are you communicating to your students? Number 2, continue to be a student. Take teacher training programs, take workshops. If you're interested in becoming a Barkan Method teacher, I put links in the description below. Number 3, continue your practice. It's your superpower. Don't give up your practice. 5 days a week minimum if you're a teacher. Number 4, know the history. Once again, where we are, where we're going to, we have to know where we came from. It's going to give you more credibility as a yoga teacher. And number 5, be vulnerable enough to show your own authentic voice. And now communicate to your class in your own authentic, unique sound. That's how you're going to better connect with your students and reach the great status. So that's our episode for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell. Any questions or comments, put them down below. I'm happy to get back to you, and I will see you at the next video. Bye, everyone.